Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of Freshwater Tips and Tricks. Today we're at Mary Jo Puckham Park in Katy. We left the other park due to reasons that was stated in the other video, but we hope you guys enjoy. This pond here is pretty decent size if you guys can look around. There's a lot of ducks out here, got a lot of people out here fishing, which is cool, pretty nice. It's not as big, but it is a nice little park. So we're gonna go on to part 2. So we're gonna start with some dough balls again, just because I like catfishing. And there's a good bit of them in here. Honestly, I've caught some with gummy worms, which is kind of funny. Kristen laughed at me the first time I did it and then caught a catfish, and she's like, oh my goodness, are you for real? So yes, it does work. One of the biggest blue cats I ever caught was actually on gummy worms back in '98. So we're just gonna do that, and then like I showed y'all in the other video, open the bail. Now we're gonna send it out. Tighten it up. Now the other setup on this, that's the original setup. Now there's another way of doing it. Alright, so as you can see, we got the weight setup like we showed in the other videos. Cover your hook with your magic bait dough balls. And I like using these in ponds because it tends to work pretty good. Out here, we'll see how it goes with the turtles. But what we'll do, drop it down a little bit, and then we're gonna put a bobber on it. Now we're going back to my childhood way of fishing, but there we go. Got about a good, 4 or 5 foot in between the bobber and your dough ball. Do is just send it out. That's it. And I like this little pond. They got these little rod holders, that you can put your rods in. If you don't have those, lean it up at about that kind of an angle there. That way, if anything hits it, it's not going to go flying in the water. Sadly, out on the Galveston fishing pier, I've watched people actually lose fishing rods due to not setting, but due to standing them up so high on the reel. Alright guys, so now we're going to show you guys another setup for bass fishing. And this was called finesse fishing, and all we're using is a plastic worm and an offset hook. I don't know how well the camera can pick that hook up, but that's all we're going to use, and that bullet weight. Now how we set this up, slide your bullet weight on your line. Take your hook, tie it on your line, when I first really got heavy into fishing, I remember seeing an old gentleman on TV named Charlie Pack that fished this lure in a couple of spots, and that's what got me into fishing this setup here. I remember that old gentleman's catchphrase on TV was "get them off the streets and on the creeks," and that couldn't be any truer then as it is today. All we'll do is just run a small little bit to the top of the worm, come over that little offset and over the eyelet, and then put the hook into the worm. Now you don't want to go all the way through, you want to leave it just like that, because that'll help act as a little bit of a hook protection to keep weeds and everything from getting hooked in there so much. And then all you'll do is just come over here, cast it out, let it sink to the bottom, and then what we'll do is we'll slowly just bounce it up and down on the bottom. We'll just kind of jig it around, kind of like you do any other jigs. Just let it bounce around on the bottom. But if you look, it's got this little paddle, this little swim tail on it. I'll cast it right over in here, and you can also just reel it in like this, really slow, and that little, I don't know if the camera could pick it up, but you can see this little jig action on there where it just swims. We'll do it this way. Pitch it under here. Pitch it a little bit and see what, if I can pick up that action on it. Hopefully that camera can pick it up. But that's all we're gonna do. Let it hit the bottom and then just jig it up. But if you look, it's got this little swim tail where that little swim fin just swims on the bottom. That's all we're gonna do. So yeah, we're not gonna be out here long enough to really catch anything. All we're doing is just tips and tricks. So here's the other method that you can also do with using the same little setup. Now you can hook this the same way as the other one, but I'll also take and hook it up a little bit differently here. Go through the bottom of it and then come back up through the side, something like that. And when we go back to the pond and I kayak those lily pads, this will probably be one setup that I'm actually going to use. And what I'll do is, how you'll do that is you just sit it down in the water and you'll just kind of wiggle it around like that. I don't know if the camera can really pick it up much, but that's all you're gonna do is just wiggle it around in the water. And that's how you'll fish that one. Alright, so Kristen said you couldn't really see this one too much in the canal, but this was all I was fishing. It was just a really small spinner bait. I'll actually use these mostly for crappie, but I have caught a couple of smallmouth bass on these guys and a handful of largemouth. So you can use these for a lot of different things, but how you'll do these is pretty much like that buzz bait. Cast it out, then all you'll do is bring it in. You'll feel that blade spinning, and I don't know how well you can see it. Let me do it this way, hang on. Pitch it sideways here. That way you guys can actually see what this thing looks like, hopefully. So that's what it'll look like in the water. Just that blade will spin and it'll send vibrations out, and bass will pick that up on that lateral line I was telling you about. And that's how they feel them vibrations, and they think, and this will imitate a fish in distress. You can just jig it up and down and just various movements like that and catch smallmouth, crappie, all that stuff. Now the next setup I'll show you real quick is going to be something a little bit different. The joys of living in South Texas when it's 100 degrees by 11. So I'm gonna try these little jigs, and they also have these little spinner paddles for these jigs. Now what we'll do is I'll just use one of these orange ones. Now every once in a while on these, that eyelet will be painted. All you gotta do is just take a hook or something and just pop that paint out. And we'll go with, I don't know. We'll one of these little grubs. Just some of my little favorite ones. Caught a lot of white bass on these guys. And then all you'll do is just run this all the way to that little barb on the jig. Alright. Now on this one, I'm going to go ahead and show you a different knot that you can use for fishing, especially some of this light tackle like this. Yes, I love the Palomar knot, but like I said, that's only 85% of the time I fish. Usually when I'm using these, I'm using 10-pound tennis line and a smaller rod, not something like this with 25-pound line. But again, not catching anything, don't really want to, just tips and tricks to help y'all out. So what you'll do is run your line under the eyelet there. I'm gonna quack you back here, spin it about 5 or 6 times. Run your line back through that hole and come back up through the main hole right here. Pull it tight, and that's it. That was actually the knot that I first started fishing when I was a kid. Then I learned the Palomar knot, and that one was pretty much my go-to for saltwater. This one's my go-to for freshwater. Living down here, I use both because I'll catch big old blue cats, alligator, gar, sharks, and then I come pond fishing because it's fun and I love getting back to basics. Now how you'll do this one is simple.
Hold on 1 second, Chris. We have somebody making a lot of noise back there. I don't know if you can see it. It's just that little duck just quacking along.
That's a happy little duck.
He's like, excuse me, you're doing it wrong.
Now it beats Daisy pestering me in the garden. And if y'all ain't seen her, she's a really pretty white duck. But all I'll do is let that hit the bottom, and I'll just bounce it up and down a handful of times, just jigging it. A big old turtle right here. Nah, he just went down. A lot of turtles in this pond. But yeah, that's all I'll do is I'll just bounce it up and down. And if you can see, pretty much like that worm, that little paddle tail that this guy's got just spins. Let's see if I can get closer to the camera here. See how it just spins on the bottom, and this bright color helps attract those predatory fish. They think it's some kind of bright bug, fish, you know, whatever, and they'll hit that. That works pretty good for all kind of stuff, and that would be one of the other lures I'll probably cast down in them lily pads at that other pond. But like I said, we were there 45 minutes, and that was pretty much about it. Here, we're only here about 30 minutes just doing this little second part of our video. And again, we appreciate you guys for watching our videos. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It means everybody that already has, we really appreciate that one. Hit that notification bell, because we upload at least twice, sometimes even 3 times a week. Next week in Florida, we're definitely going to be posting a lot more. And when we're in the spring, we're also going to do our first drawing giveaway. So hopefully y'all hit that like button, share this video. Let's get this out. And when we do that spring video, we post that up there at the Salt Springs in Florida. I'll be announcing a really cool giveaway. So comment below and tell me what you guys think of these videos, and if y'all want like more of these tips and tricks, please let me know. Thank y'all for subscribing, and y'all have a great day.